Welcome to Elevate Your Event, your favorite podcast for transforming fundraising events. Join us weekly for expert tips and creative ideas to make your next event a standout success.
Today, we're diving into the magic of Make-A-Wish Colorado with CEO Scott Dishong. From granting hundreds of life-changing wishes to reimagining fundraising events, Scott shares the power of impactful storytelling, donor engagement, and creating unforgettable experiences. Plus, we'll hear about some of the most unique wishes ever granted. Yes, even a robotic dragon. So grab a seat, turn up the volume, and get ready for an inspiring conversation on fundraising, leadership, and making dreams come true.
All right, welcome back to the Elevate Your Event podcast. We talk about all the various ways you can make your next fundraising event better, or just maybe make your nonprofit better as well. So we've got everybody in the studio today. We have no remote guests, and we have a very special guest. But first of all, let's introduce the Handbid team here. We've got
Elise Druckenmiller.
Fresh off the plane from Las Vegas.
Oh, did you win money? Did you lose money?
I won money.
Oh, look at that.
She won
and my
money.
daughter won gymnastics,
She's
so
not,
you know
she's
what?
not going to tell.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Jeff Porter, CEO of Handbid, and then we've got our very good friend Scott Dishong from Make-A-Wish Foundation, CEO.
CEO of Make-A-Wish Colorado. I don't want to make anybody think that I'm running.
That you're after their
Make-A-Wish.
job.
Yeah, exactly. Make-A-Wish Colorado. So
Awesome. Thanks, Scott, for joining us. So tell us a little bit, tell us how you got to be the CEO of Make-A-Wish Colorado and kind of what you've done in the past, and then we'll I'm sure we've got a lot of questions for you.
I still, I started in 2019. I still kind of feel like I'm living a dream because I don't think anybody, grows up thinking, hey, I'm going to be the CEO of one of the coolest organizations in the world, which is Make-A-Wish, right? So I spent 12 years. I was at the American Cancer Society in a variety of different roles, did a bunch of things over those 12 years, and then literally just got a call from a recruiter that said the founder and CEO of Make-A-Wish Colorado, Joan Mazak, was retiring, and would you have interest in learning more? And so, of course, I clicked yes, and then went through a long process to fool the board into thinking, board of directors into thinking I was capable of running Make-A-Wish Colorado.
You are.
We'll see about that. We haven't burned it down yet. It's 5 years, and it's been a really cool 5 years. I learned a lot of stuff about Make-A-Wish, even that I didn't know going into the process, even just interviewing for the job and then starting with Make-A-Wish, just how magical of a place it is to be. And so I'm just so happy that I get to do this every day.
I love it. And I know that my kids have been involved through the high schools here in Colorado in Wish Week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as much in the nonprofit space as I am, I was dense for a while going Wish Week, and now I'm like, oh, Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it. It's connected to Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll donate to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't want to donate to some kid who's wishing that his parents buy him a BMW or something, right? No, this is real stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that had the same realization.
Same for me. I've got two kids in Douglas County schools, one at Ponderosa and one at Legend High School, and they're both big Wish Week schools. And so same thing. I went into it. My kids would come home on a Monday and say, I need $20 for a T-shirt, and then come back on Tuesday and say I need $10 for this, and so I'm so happy because now I get to be a part of it. It's such a cool part of what Make-A-Wish Colorado does. Our Wish Week program and our Kids for Wish Kids program ultimately helps us grant 1 out of every 3 wishes in the state of Colorado, and it's all student led. It's all student driven by student government kiddos at all of these schools. So it's a great way to kind of teach kids philanthropy and support Make-A-Wish Colorado at the same time.
It's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk scale here for a second. And obviously share what you can and don't share what you can, obviously. But so how many wishes is Colorado granting on an annual basis?
That's a great question. So this past year we did just around 380 wishes for kids from Colorado. So I always kind of, when I started, we do our Wish Kids. We have our Make-A-Wish Colorado Wish Kids, and then what we have called Wish Assist. So that's any kid that wants to come to Colorado to experience their wish here in Colorado. So last year we did, I think, over 75 Wish Assists, which I'm super passionate about.
Wow.
I think if you want to wish to ski, that should happen in the state of Colorado, one of our beautiful mountains, right? And so we're so blessed to have great partners in that realm. So we did 75 wishes there. So, about 450 or so wishes per year between our kids and then kids that we're bringing to the state to participate in a wish.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It is incredible. And so, so let's talk about some of these wishes. So I'm sure they run the gamut from I want to meet, Justin Simmons on the Broncos. Okay, probably as popular as he is, probably a little easier than like I want to meet Taylor Swift or something, right? So how do you handle the wishes that maybe scale beyond what Colorado can do?
Yeah, no, that's a great thing I think about Make-A-Wish, and we talk about the federated model, right? That's where we've got a national organization that we're a part of, but still very local in nature. So we've got a board of directors here in Colorado that kind of oversees myself and our organization, and then we've got this umbrella, Make-A-Wish America. And so that's the nice thing is we've got relationships not just with Make-A-Wish America, but our counterparts across the country. And so, if someone wants to meet, their favorite chief. Here in Broncos country, we don't like that, but we'll definitely, that's not our job to determine what the wish is. And to be quite honest with you, and I hate to say this, the Chiefs do an amazing job of wish granting. We'll work with our counterparts in Kansas City to make that happen. We just had a kid from New York in this past weekend. The wish was to go to the National Western Stock Show, right, which is awesome. So there is that connection to other.
Did you tell them how cold it typically is?
Well, they're from New York. They weren't coming from Florida, at least. That would have been. We try to make sure that they've got everything they need to be bundled up for the weekend for sure. But that's. We do have this connectivity between Make-A-Wish America and then the other chapters, which helps us, grant wishes that we didn't think were possible.
I love it. And so for certain corporations, because I was recently on a flight down, through Orlando. And there was a Wish family on there with their T-shirts and stuff. So I would imagine the airlines are also super cooperative.
Yeah, pretty much every major airline is a big supporter of Make-A-Wish. And here in Colorado, we're lucky that both United, Southwest, and Frontier have big presence here in the Denver market. And so, we get a lot of what we call in-kind, right, in the nonprofit world. Very important for us. And great, just great storytelling opportunity, too, for our airline partners. When we do a wish to meet the Avs or the Nuggets or something like that. Many times, the airline, Southwest in particular, on a recent Avs wish, helped us get Bernie to the gate so that when the family was coming off of the plane to meet the Avs, Bernie was there waiting. And so there's this really cool things like that we get to do with our partners here in Denver.
Oh, my God. You must walk around with like a bundle of Kleenex in your pocket.
Oh, sir, yeah. So my team knows this. They bought me 7 pairs of sunglasses, I think, last Christmas because when they walk by my office or when I go to a meeting and I know it's going to be a positive and emotional meeting, I typically take my sunglasses and then I'll put my sunglasses on when tears start kind of coming down my face. So, and I always forget my sunglasses in my car. So they bought me literally multiple pairs of sunglasses for the office. They've got them strategically placed around the office because it is such an emotional organization and just a positive. Like it's so neat to see that. Like I got to go out and be a part of that. Watch this family get off the plane. They're originally from Colorado. That's why they love the Avs. And to watch these young kids get off the plane and see Bernie. And then there just so happened to be like a gentleman at another gate that had his dog with him that went up and started sniffing Bernie. So the kids get off the plane and Bernie's playing with a little puppy dog outside their gate. And, it just makes for a magical kind of introduction, even just a welcome to Colorado, right? Which is awesome.
And what's the age range of the kids that are able to ask for wishes?
Yeah, so we focus on kids that are 2.5 to 18, so really almost into adulthood, and so it runs the gamut. So we do as you probably know, a ton of Disney wishes, and they've been a partner really since the original wish in 1980. Was a wish that involved the Phoenix Fire Department, and then a kiddo got to go to Disneyland. So Phoenix Fire Department picked him up at the hospital, took him to the airport, flew to Disney, and then the Anaheim Fire Department picked him up and took him to Disneyland. And so they're ingrained in what we do, and so just an amazing partner of ours.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great.
So all these wishes obviously require funds.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about fundraising and maybe throughout your career. I mean, has it been pretty much typical, like when you're at ACS versus Make-A-Wish, or does Make-A-Wish do things dramatically different?
Yeah, and I think for us here, Make-A-Wish Colorado is a little bit different even than other chapters of Make-A-Wish, just because of our Kids for Wish Kids program and the fact that they do such an amazing job of helping us raise money from that kind of grassroots level. I mean, it's $5 and $10 here at a time. You know, kids will go out, they'll actually take a bucket, a big 5-gallon bucket, and pass it around during an assembly and raise a couple $1,000s in change, right? And then that aggregates over 150 plus schools that do that we work with. So it's very different. It feels very grassroots here at Make-A-Wish Colorado. So we run the gamut from a fundraising that is based on our Kids for Wish Kids program. Certainly major gifts and plan giving is a big part of what we do and is getting bigger, I think, every day. And then what we've tried to do is scale back and do really signature big events, just because we know that, that space, especially as we were going into COVID and coming out of COVID, two different things, right? That we really wanted to focus on a kind of a signature event and use that event to get people engaged in the organization, tell a story, get them excited about what we do, let them have a good time, and then hopefully they want to get involved in Make-A-Wish Colorado.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the event that where we got connected.
Yeah.
Right? Because Handbid has powered that event for you. But it's interesting because for big organizations like that, I mean, I think at least throughout my nonprofit career, it's always been kind of this belief, which I think is kind of an inaccurate belief, that you start out running events because you're so small, that's the only thing you know how to do, and then you kind of evolve yourself into sponsorships and major gifts, and then that goes away. But you brought up, when you came on board, you wanted to revitalize that event and make that signature event, because I'm guessing that's a great entry point for you to start building new donor relationships.
Exactly right. I mean, I think, and that's where the issue is. It's not, are these events still effective? It's what's happening after the event to make them effective, right? I mean, raising a bunch of money in one night is always awesome. We love to do that, but it's really the engagement and the relationships that are built and the connections that you make through the planning and execution of that event, and then afterwards, that really make it a success or not, right? Even small events that we've done. We just did a little concert style event with a number 38 here in Colorado, and we got to meet a couple of country music stars, up and comers, right? And those connections, just that for us as an organization, are awesome, because when one of those guys is a big deal in 5 years, and we've got Wish Kids wishing to meet them, then we've already got a connection. That we can text them and say, hey, listen, you remember meeting me in Denver 5 years ago? We've got a kid that wants to meet you now at Red Rocks. And so, like, all of those, you got to look at it, I think, from a holistic view, not just like a point in time or a moment in time, and say, this is certainly a fundraiser for tonight, but what else is it going to open up for our organization and most importantly, our kids moving forward? Yeah,
I mean, I think that totally makes sense. I will say, going into that event last year as a patron, not even as your vendor, but I was just absolutely blown away with just, I would say, the engagement of the crowd. And it was there was a good entertainment there for sure.
I mean, I think when we started kind of visualizing, so we had an event called Wish Night when we were going into COVID. The first decision I ever made as the CEO of Make-A-Wish Colorado was to move our Wish Night from February of 2020 to May of 2020. So if you're remembering the timeline, that didn't work out so hot for me. It didn't do so well. But the reason for that is because we wanted to put it in a time frame that was kind of the right time for Denver, for Colorado, so that we could get more people there. And so we made that decision. It didn't work out well at that time. But then, we had ultimately 2 years to think about, all right, when we're able to do an event again, especially a big event, what do we want it to be? And for me, I grew up in Nebraska. I love country music. I love cowboy boots. I love a good party. And so I was like, hey, listen, we just need to do a party with a purpose. At the American Cancer Society, we had Cattle Barons Ball up in northern Colorado, which has been a massive success for a lot of years. And so I tried to say, hey, listen, how do we do something that I always say, like, that people want to come to? Because, we've all been to a fundraising event. You've got your event. That's just fun. It's amazing. Like, it's something you want to come to, right? Like,
Yeah.
I leave an event like ours, like an event like yours, and I'm like, hey, listen, I can't wait till next year. Instead of, oh, that was nice, and then you just forget about it. It's like, I can't wait till next year because I won a bunch of money at your event, on some horses, and then
it's all legal.
I turned it into a condo up in Grand Lake. So like. It's a condo rental. It was not. I don't own a condo in Grand Lake now. Let me just
come to my fundraiser. You might be able to win enough money to buy a condo.
Exactly right. But it's that kind of thing. Like you leave an event and you have one feeling or another. It's like, hey, that was a nice event, or that's an event I want to go to next year. And even better, I'm going to tell my friends who weren't there, which I've done for you guys. Like, we've got people now that I've been talking to for the last 6-7 months. Like, we're going to this event because it's a lot of fun. So that's what you want, right? And so that's what we tried to do is really come out of the gate. We had never done Whiskey, Wine, and Wishes before, but we wanted to come out with of the gate with something that people want.
What a great event name!
Yeah,
Whiskey, Wine, and Wishes. It does.
Whiskey, Wine, and Wishes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was the event before?
So it was wish night. I mean, it was a black tie, kind of sit down gala. Mm-hmm. It was cute. Like, it was nice. Once again, it was
cute.
Yeah, no, it was great. Now, I never went, but I know the team there did an amazing job. It was awesome. But once again, it was just, I think, coming out of COVID, I think it was the right thing for Make-A-Wish, pre-COVID. But coming out, people wanted to get out in droves, right?
We experienced that too.
We did, I would say that
black tie gala, formal, kind of
more and more of those are going away.
Yeah,
and I think you were right to assume, or at least foresee, that coming out of COVID, people wanted to get out, but they didn't want to dress up and get out. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And so
they'd been in yoga pants and sweatpants for 3 years.
Exactly.
I mean, I've
tough
attended
enough to get into some Wranglers,
20 galas a year at my, with my feet up on the table and my wine glass watching the live stream, right? And now you're asking me to put my tux back on?
Exactly right.
I don't even know if I fit into that thing.
Yeah, exactly right.
I got to do my hair. And no, I think, we've seen a lot of this, and they called it the ungala, or, and then there were the boots and bling, or the denim and diamonds and whatever. And it's like, you want to go a little classier than those maybe, but at the same time, like, really embrace also, I think, what the market gives you.
Yeah.
And Colorado is just not a tuxedo market.
Right,
it's really not.
No, exactly right. I mean, I think for us, obviously, we're a cow Western town, right? Like, you have to embrace that and own it and love it, and I do, so that works out well for me.
That worked out great for you. I know when they were looking for a CEO, they're like, find a Western guy.
Yeah.
Someone that likes cows and boots.
It took me a little while to sell everybody. Even our team was like, oh my God, I think this guy's crazy, right? But, I was hopeful. Hope's not a strategy, but I really thought, and I think our team ultimately came to realize, like, once again, if you do something that's fun, and people want to come to it.
They want to come back.
Yeah, they want to come back. And then...
Well, and then you're talking about, because this is where you and I have spent a lot of time conversing, and it's about our own events. It's not even about Handbid. It's really about, like, part of it, of doing an event is onerous, right?
Yes.
It's gross, it's dirty, it's nasty, it's kind of all the different... But at the upper level... Like, just the planning of it. I mean, before we started this podcast, we spent at least 15 or 20 minutes talking about which kind of country bands can we book for our event.
Yeah. Exactly right.
It's so much fun.
What can we afford, and can we get someone to discount, like all that stuff.
Yeah. And who do you know, and all that other kind of stuff. I mean,
can we get a 2-for-1? Let's change event dates and do them back to back.
That's right.
All the things.
Yeah.
It's okay to take these risks and have the conversations.
Exactly right.
They can pan out.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I think the venues that we collectively use that are connected to AG, who's a huge presence here in Colorado, and an amazing sponsor for you guys. It also gives you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, it does.
Right? I mean, nothing against the hotels, right?
Yeah,
and all the other stuff that they do, but you don't have a lot of flexibility in what you can do in a hotel ballroom.
No.
Right? But the Mission Ballroom, on the other hand.
Yeah, no, we, exactly. I think, obviously, if you're doing a concert-style event, right, and that's what, like, the first part of what we decided was, let's have a concert. Like, something, once again, something people want to come to, and so we started looking at venues we can do that, and we've got so many great venues here just in Denver, right? We could do something at Fiddler's, like you guys do, which is awesome, right? We could do something at the amazing world famous Grizzly Rose,
Never heard of it.
Yeah. So we could do something at all these amazing places, and then we just literally got lucky. Like Subaru has been a massive supporter of Make-A-Wish, not just here in Colorado, but across the country for a long time. And they're a big sponsor of AEG and the Mission Ballroom. And so we ultimately we're walking around visiting the Mission Ballroom and said, this is perfect for what we want to do, but I don't think we can swing it. Especially on the first one, I was like, I'm trying to sell people that we can actually do this event, and then
put you in a 5,000 person venue.
The cost involved, but luckily, Subaru gets a free night to use with their sponsorship, and AEG was super kind to say, hey, yeah, let's use it in a different way and let Make-A-Wish use that night. So it's a win-win, right? You talk about like in this world win-wins. Subaru gets to be our venue sponsor for a sponsorship that they've already got. We've built this great relationship with AEG here in Colorado. The folks there are just amazing. And then we get to have our event at this spot that's perfect for what we do, right? Which is really high-level music and entertainment, right? We don't have a ton of tables. It's not a sit-down event. It's a go check out our amazing silent auction, get ready for our amazing live auction, and then listen to some music.
Yeah, and the food was great.
Yeah. Tacos, once again, I want it to be simple. When I sell, we went from a black tie
Cowboys
event.
love tacos. It's fine.
Or barbecue sandwiches.
You don't want the piece of rubber chicken and the raspberry vinaigrette on top of the salad.
When we talked about
moving the dinner roll.
Yeah, exactly. When we talked about moving from black tie and sit down dinner, that was another thing. I was like, God, let's just do something simple, right? Like people want to come and eat good food, but they, you're not going to have people knifing on a steak while they're standing up, listening to country music, right? So it's worked out perfect. It's been a great venue and an awesome partner for us.
Yeah, and so you get to come in, you pick the band, you kind of set the vision, you kind of lay it out, and then you have an amazing team behind you that makes it all happen. Yeah,
no, exactly. And at the end of the day, none of it's possible. I've got an amazing team here at Make-A-Wish Colorado. They say surround yourself with people that are a lot smarter than you are, and I've done that in every single way my entire life. My wife, my family, my team, and so I get to take absolutely zero credit. There's a vision for what I think was going to be successful, but then we, Kelly Kendall Events, I'm sure you guys are familiar with them. They come alongside us and really support what we do. And then, Lauren, our chief development officer, she's amazing and she executed and built the partnerships and all that stuff. So I wish I could take credit for any of it, but it's really having an amazing team. And then on the flip side, I think this is in the nonprofit world where Make-A-Wish Colorado is exceptional, is that our program team and our fundraising team and our operations, the really three sides of any nonprofit organization, they all love each other and work together to execute, whether it's a wish on the program side or an event on the development side. They work together to make not many. Sometimes there's that invisible line between program and mission, right? And we just don't have that. They've got a lot of partnership, and it's what's made our Kids for Wish Kids program strong. It's what's made our event really strong. Is when we're there, our entire team's there, no matter what their role is at Make-A-Wish Colorado, having a good time and also supporting the organization for that night.
Yeah, I was blown away with the quality of your volunteers and
showed
up on time.
Yeah, that's important.
And they were competent. They were great. They really were. Yeah, I'm excited to work with them again this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was. It's been a great.
So are you trying to franchise this? Is Whiskey, Wine, and Wishes? Is this going to grow to other Make-A-Wish?
There's
Group chapters.
Yeah, it already has, which I'm proud of. And I wish I could take a little off the top, but really it's a gift to the world, as I call it, right? Tennessee, I think, is doing something very similar. Texas has an event that's pretty similar.
Should have copyrighted that.
I know I should have. Maybe it's not too late.
I can help you with the trademark.
Yeah, please do. At least, so in 20 years, those chapters that are, of Make-A-Wish that are still doing Whiskey, Wine, and Wishes know that it started
paying Colorado a 5% royalty.
I won't even take the 5%. I just want our team to get that credit for what they built, which is actually at the end of the day not important at all, right? It's and that's the cool thing once again about Make-A-Wish is we're always helping each other, and so I'm sure I've stolen a lot of ideas from other organizations, specifically other chapters of Make-A-Wish. So please steal ours.
It's the best form of flattery.
It is. It is exactly right.
And then you build up a network, which I think also helps. And I'm the vision guy, right? So I always get
We know, Jeff.
I get the eye rolls from my staff all the time, and I'm like, I'm gonna put myself in Scott's shoes, and I'm gonna build a network, and I want 10 of these around the country, because then we're gonna find 10 country artists or a set of them that are gonna do and we're gonna have the Make-A-Wish Foundation group
tour.
Yeah,
tour.
Exactly right.
Honestly, we did an event for a number of years for Diamond Resorts, and they basically, their CEO is a country music fan.
Yeah.
And so he went and got himself his own ambassadors.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
And it's like, hey, you got Toby Keith, and you've got Colt Ford, and you've got, Jake Owen, and all these guys. He had Lee Bryce, and then here was the beauty of it. He's like,
Travis Tritt.
He's like, I'm going to ship around a bunch of acoustic guitars, and you guys are going to sign them, and then you guys are going to show up at my properties and play these little intimate concerts. It was amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that's that's the fun part of it.
It is. Yeah. No, it's and just the connections. Once again, that those relationships that you make, I think, throughout the process and the journey of an event like that. You meet so many cool people along the way. Our first band that we had at Whiskey, Wine, and Wishes one was Shane Smith and the Saints. It was right as Yellowstone was super popular, and they were getting they were selling out Red Rocks. They still have their Red Rocks show and selling out Red Rocks, and it was right as that was happening that we got Shane Smith and the Saints, and they did it essentially for their cost, which it was, especially as coming out of COVID. And the fact that they hadn't been able to tour for a long time was awesome and unheard of. But they did it, because Peyton Manning was involved in the event. He was our first ever Wish hero. And what country artist doesn't love Peyton Manning? And so that was a huge part of it. And he's so supportive of what we do. But also because of the mission. And then, what we try and say is once you're part of our organization, whether it's for a day or a year or forever, we're true partners. And so, we worked with another partner, Southwest Airlines, connected them. And then they ended up doing a Live at 35, which is where they actually, Shane Smith and the Saints played, on a.
Is that what my daughter had to go to after 3 speeding tickets, or is that different?
Yes.
No. Live at 35 is when Shane Smith and the Saints play on a Southwest airline at 35,000 feet to a full plane.
Oh, that's a Live at 25, Jeff.
A Live at 25. Okay.
Two way different situations. But
how do you get on that plane? That's cool.
I know. So it's just so random. These country music stars are playing on Southwest Airlines at 35,000 feet, and then it's a concert at 35,000 feet.
I love it.
And it's really because Southwest is such a great partner of ours here in Colorado, and we were able to connect their teams and say, hey, this should be a good thing for everybody involved. And so we try to add those kinds of things in. It doesn't, when Shane Smith left to their next gig, we didn't want it to be the last time that we connected with them and gave back in some way because they supported us. So we really believe in. And I know we probably talk about relationship-based fundraising. Everything we do is relationship-based, right? And so we try to be a good partner.
It's clear that, we started this conversation off with, how do you engage your donors after the event, right? So we've now gone into discussion over how you're leveraging all of your relationships, all of, it's not just your donors, it's your sponsors, it's your employees, and you're ingraining that in them, and they're leveraging relationships within each other to make such an impressive event.
Yeah, and exactly. And then I think after the event, you think about our wishes. Every wish is an event, ultimately, especially our local wishes. What we didn't know going into COVID was how that's going to impact our organization, right? I mean, we're an organization that typically 75% of our kids wish to travel. Or if they wish to meet someone, they have to travel to meet them. And so, we pivoted really quickly, and then we started getting a lot of wishes for backyard makeovers and huge play sets and stuff that, listen, I'm not a construction guy. I can screw in a light bulb, but that's about as far as I get. And so we had to pivot and immediately then go to our partners, PCL Construction. Darren Brown's on our board here in Denver, TIC and Kiewit, Michael Brueggemann, these two big construction companies. We had to say, hey, we just shifted and we've got a ton of construction-based wishes. Can you help us? And of course, they jumped right in, and we're still doing quite a few wishes with both of those partners, and which is awesome because we can't build. My team is awesome, but if you ask us to go out and build, or I think we've got a kid who wants to a motorbike track in his backyard. Like,
oh man,
we're going to hurt somebody if we go out and do that personally. So we need professionals involved in those wishes, just like we can't fly our kids to Disney, right? So, so partners for what we do, like I always say, every wish is one phone call away. Like even if I think it's the most impossible wish, it's one phone call away from finding the right person that can help us grant that wish.
Okay, so I've got a left field question here. So, do people ever tell you no?
Oh, great question. I think there's always things that we can't do, right? Like if every wish kid said, "Hey, I want a $500,000 RV," then we'd do 7 wishes a year, and that's all we would do, right? So we certainly have guidelines in what we can do. So, and then like if there's a construction company and they're super busy, like a landscaping company, it's the summer and they're like, we don't have any capacity to help, right? So
but that would be different. See, I don't know, like. Is there I'm not asking you to reveal any names.
Yeah.
Are there certain people that are just not interested in granting wishes, and so you kind of have to steer the family in a different direction?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think there's sometimes where for whatever reason, right? It might be something they can't do. Like we work with celebrities that sometimes have their own personal story, right? And meeting one of our wish kids might not be something that they're like emotionally ready for,
capable
or
of, yeah.
capable of, or should be doing at that time, right? So that happens on occasion, but we typically then are able to pivot and do something, maybe send them to a concert and make a really cool experience out of that. But that's pretty rare.
Has anybody ever asked to go to space?
Not yet. Lie, actually. I think we do have a couple of wishes for like those flights that get close.
Make you weightless. Yeah.
Yeah. And so once again, like you pick up the phone, we've got a great relationship with the Air Force Academy and then others. And so like you pick up the phone and there's now commercial companies that make that happen. Obviously, we can't afford it, so then we try and find some way to partner with them. So that's happened. That's coming probably to space, right? Elon Musk, if you're listening, we need you. And he's done wishes before, and certainly has.
Well, he has $240 billion, so definitely get him on your donor list.
Yeah. He's awesome. SpaceX, we have a lot of kids that want to see a launch, whether it's NASA, SpaceX, that kind of thing. They want to go down and see a rocket launch. So we've got.
I want to do that, and then I want to see them catch the rocket
just saw
when
that
it falls
flying,
back to Earth.
My husband just saw that the other day flying over there.
I know. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So yes, space is going to be our next big thing, I'm sure.
So what's a typical budget?
For a wish?
For a wish.
We always say, like here in Colorado, and it varies by area, right? Because sometimes it's harder to get kids even to an airport. Once again, we're lucky that we've got amazing airports, not just here in Denver. Colorado Springs Airport's a big partner, and then we've got our mountain airports. So it's a lot easier. It's easier for us to get kids places or get them to Colorado than some others. I grew up in western Nebraska. I had to typically drive to Denver, which was 4.5 hours just to get on the plane, and certainly there's folks that have to go along a lot further than that. So it typically it'll vary. We always say ours is about $7,500 cash that it takes to grant each of our wishes, and some certainly are less than that. I have a lot of puppy wishes, although some of these puppies, man, are getting
they're up there. Yeah.
Holy cow! It's gonna become a high cost wish, what we call a high cost wish for us at some point.
Are these like how many details, like sub bullets, come with the wish? I want a puppy, or do I want a like full bred?
So yeah, I think I saw one on our wish list right now. It's for a Chihuahua, but it's like an apple-headed Chihuahua or something like that. And I mean, our kids, they come in. A lot of times they go through the wish process, which is pretty in depth. We try to get them in a space where they can kind of open up their imagination, and then they get to that space. They've opened up their imagination, and then they say, "I want an apple-headed Chihuahua," and then we make that happen.
How fun would that be to have those conversations?
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
So what is the selection process?
Oh, the selection process. Yeah.
For who gets the wishes?
Yeah. So we've got a national medical advisory team, which ultimately determines the criteria. We say we are an organization that grants wishes, life-changing wishes for kids with critical illness, and that can mean a lot of different things. But the good thing is that's not me deciding who that is. It's medical professionals and the smartest of the smartest on our national medical advisory team. And then we've got Dr. Nakano, who is on that team, but based here in Denver at Children's Hospital. Most of our 90% of our Wish families are referred, and Wish kids are referred through Children's Hospital or Rocky Mountain Hospital for Children, the two biggest caregivers for kids here in Colorado. So it's already coming from a medical team that knows Make-A-Wish, that understands our.
They're going to have to sign off on it, right?
Exactly.
Not that they necessarily qualify, but even that they're medically able to do it.
Yeah,
right?
and it's I think that's the biggest thing for me getting into. I think when you sit outside and you go of the organization, you go, okay, this is awesome, like what you guys do, but how hard is it to send a kid to Disney World, right? Like, I've been to Disney World with my family, and then you start getting into the medical needs, right? And they have nursing care, or the oxygen on a plane. Like, there's all of these complications that make it really difficult. And then certainly, our kids are typically in a place where they're going through a critical illness. And so, we've got a really close relationship with the hospital systems down in Orlando. And, multiple times a year, we'll have someone admitted to a hospital in Orlando to, because they maybe had too much excitement on their Wish or just got sick or got the flu or got a cold, which for us isn't a big deal, but for our Wish kids typically becomes a big deal.
Yeah.
So it gets extremely complicated, and then they're in the hospital for a couple of days or multiple weeks, and then we're trying to get them back to Colorado. And so, but at the end of the day, like all of that's worth it, right? For us,
100%.
like all of the complications, and our staff, God bless them. They're midnight on a Tuesday. It's a holiday today, right? And so they, they're getting calls today, right, saying, "Hey, listen, our card that we send all of our families, obviously, with spending money. Our card's not working, and we're trying to pay our bill at Disney. What do we do?" And so, we've got a team that will pick up the phone, 24 hours a day to support their families, which is awesome. And it's rare to find people that are so dedicated to what they do. But it's cool.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
So, what was the most expensive Wish?
Oh gosh, we did so expense is such a it's a fluid
maybe
word.
Unexpectedly expensive Wish.
Well, we did a Wish right after I started, and this is, I think, going back to that, like every Wish is a phone call away.
Right.
I got into the role, and I'm just kind of looking through. It's what we call our Wish pipeline. It's all the kids that are waiting for wishes, and it's got, I want to meet all of these Peyton Manning, or I want to meet Patrick Mahomes or The Rock or whatever that is. And then there was one that was sitting there that said, I wish to have a pet robotic dragon. And it was a kiddo down in Colorado Springs, and she was had an amazing imagination. So she had kind of these imaginary pet dragons in her head that she wanted to turn into real imaginary pet dragons, robotic. And so we, got online and like, okay, can't buy that on Amazon. So what do we do here? Uh-oh. And I was like, okay, all right, how do we fix this? So, we used to start picking up the phone call. We got connected to Aero Electronics, an amazing company, I think literally right across the street from where we're at right now. It's a massive organization that does so many things behind the scenes that not many people know about. But we reached out to them, and Joe, who runs their CSR program, many years ago had said to me, like, I think I'd reached out to him when I was at ACS and said, "Hey, we've got this event coming up. Would you be interested in supporting?" And I think the what he said back was, "Listen, we want to use technology for good. If you ever have any reason or any need for technology to solve a problem at your organization, then let me know." Yeah. And so literally I get to Make-A-Wish, and I was like, well, that seems like an Aero Electronics opportunity. So we got connected back to Joe, and then also to their CEO, through our board and through my connection to Joe, and just said, "Hey, listen, like, this is a wish that we have no chance of granting without your support." So they literally, for several years, they built a pet robotic dragon from scratch. They got the inventor of the Furby to come alongside them and help them with this project. And then they, ultimately they paid for the wish, and then they got an in kind, but it was significant. I can't even remember the number, but it was, think about how much it cost to build a pet robotic robotic dragon from scratch.
Well, hopefully they're selling these on Amazon. I mean, they went through all that effort.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
The technology's there.
Oh
Do
my
something.
God. Yeah, they started.
The Wish Kid does not own the intellectual property rights to the dragon.
I have to go back and look. I mean, those were the conversations we were having, and I'm brand new. I was like, do we who owns? Can we make the toy and sell it? To support Make-A-Wish. But it was a really cool project. It was during COVID, so it didn't quite probably get the PR that it would have had it not been during COVID, because it was just amazing. And
that's awesome.
And they, we had they won a massive award. I'd have to remember that it's like an award for technology and innovation, for what they did, which is really cool. They put together a team of the smartest people, in the world, and solved the problem and built a dragon. And they still have one at their headquarters. So someday we can go look at this dragon.
Oh, we should do that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That'd be awesome.
That's cool.
Well, it's been a great conversation. I want to wrap it up with one last question for you, because we've been barraging you with them. He didn't get to ask us any,
I know, right?
No, he didn't.
But so a friend of mine came up to me the other day, and he's involved with SCA, and he asked me, he said, "Hey, so what leadership advice or what books or resources or anything do you recommend that I read as a nonprofit leader?" So I'm going to throw that to you, and just any parting advice you give to our audience here, leadership-wise, fundraising, books, whatever.
Yeah, I always go back to, I always say my first job out of college was working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car Management Training Program.
There you
right?
go.
And Enterprise back in the day, and still does this, they've got one of the best training programs to take someone who has no idea how to run a business, literally came from the University of Nebraska, Harvard of the Plains, they call it, Yale of the Midwest. So, I mean, I was super smart, but hadn't quite learned how to run a business. They take you through this process. And the process is based on really two main things, three, but two main things. If your employees don't get promoted, you don't get promoted. So it teaches you to focus on employee development and making sure your employees are happy and have a good work-life balance, all of that stuff. That's number one. Number two is if your customer service score is not great, not good, but not like a 10 out of 10, then you don't get promoted. And then the last thing is you got to learn how to sell damage waiver. I got really good at two. I got really good at two of those things. The third one I was not so good at. So that's what I learned.
The damage waiver.
Yeah. I learned that I was not good at selling damage waiver, which taught me, I think, at a young age that I needed to be really passionate about what I was talking about and involved with. And I think that's what led me to the nonprofit world. But ultimately...
Would you like the damage waiver? You really don't need this if you have insurance. Was that your sales pitch?
No. I was better than that. And there's just so many things. It's peace of mind.
That's right.
But I did learn so many things from that great organization that I still take to it. And I literally, we have an internship program. I meet with all of our interns, and they talk about kind of the career mapping, and that management philosophy is first and foremost, really take care of your employees. If you have happy employees that love what they do, you'll have a great customer service score. And for us, that means happy Wish families, an amazing Wish experience, right? So I spend as much time as I can on making sure our team is supported, has the tools that they need to be successful, and then likes what they're doing and feels fulfilled. And then I think everything runs off of that. And so just treat your people really good, find really good people. When you can, promote from within, because those are the people that love you and stick with you. And so try and find a way to build your team from within when you can. Those are some of the things that I always take away.
No, it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, this has been awesome and long but fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that time
has it
flies.
been an hour? Almost?
It's been almost an hour, I would say. But, we spent the first 20 minutes talking about country bands.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
We're going to go back to that here in a second. But let me wrap up this podcast. Thank you guys for listening to us today. This will be the end of this episode of Elevate Your Event. So until next time, happy fundraising.
If you enjoyed our show, please take a moment to leave us a review. You can find us on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe for more great content. And if you're a fan of video, check us out on YouTube. Until next time, happy fundraising.